Oh, look at these familiar faces. Wow.
Hello, room 5. I'm recording.
Hello, room 5.
Oh, it worked really well.
Oh, wow.
Hey, 2 weeks in a row.
All right, small group.
Yeah.
All right,
Was it randomly selected?
Yeah.
everyone in the group is
I
random.
don't believe it.
Yeah. Check with Zoom employees if it's fairly randomly selected.
All right, so
All right, there's not a new chat for this room.
I brought a pencil and a piece of paper.
here's the new chat in this room. Right now, if I go to the chat, I guess it says to everyone. I don't know if it's to everyone in the entire group or not, but the only people that allows me to message are people on this call who can see your message. Everyone in the meeting can see and save your messages. So I'm pretty sure this is just us. But worst case scenario, we'll agree verbally and we'll final result. All right. I guess I'll go last. You guys know what I've been doing. I've been building fractally. And I guess 3 of us on this call are building fractally. Val is on the team and Mike as well. I guess I'll let the non-fractally team members go first and share what you've been doing.
I guess I can hop in. All right, so yeah, my contributions have been very passive. So this last week, I participated in the fireside chat, and I had brought up fractally in the conversation. And then I've sent out some links. I have one person that has signed up, so I'm one away from getting that bronze ambassador. And so, yeah, it's been passive. I am here weekly. That's the plans, is to be here weekly just to see, where things are going. And then hopefully I'll start to bring contributions with what I'm doing on the media side of things. So.
Thank you. All right. Mark.
Yeah, thank you. What have I done to raise awareness about fractal governance and fractally? Very little this week. A little bit the previous week with getting a silver for getting a bunch of people to join. And also I'm keeping my main point man on translation abreast of the fractally process and the timeline, which roughly is about within this year. I would want him to engage with this. And how did I rank last week? I was number 4 out of 6 in a room with Dan and Eves, and also Mark Stair from Tippett. So go me, number 4. And this week sent a developer to Yves LaRose, as well as EOSIO Telos, Doug Horn. Attracting developers is very high priority on both chains. I just saw him lingering in the chat saying, I'm a dev and I'm kind of interested in integrating with EOSIO. That's great. Published a too long didn't read of the EOSIO plus statement of purpose on Twitter. I have about a 600 follower piece. Met with June Dam from, after meeting with June Dam from Bitcash Bank, I connected him to the lead that I have for a translation solution project, Ryan from Translate Me. And they're looking forward to meeting over the next couple of weeks. And this is a great example of a project for that translation function. Ultimately, an EOS translation foundation should emerge. EOSIO. Let's see. That's about it. I think that covers it.
Felix, you didn't report what you ranked last week.
Yeah, sorry about that. yeah, so out of 6, like 6 being the highest, I was number 3.
Alright.
That to me, I guess, is a little confusing. I think that gets flipped with a lot of people, is 6 being number 1, and then ranking in that order.
I realized that it's thing, and I had to spell it out explicitly in the documentation. So rank 6 is the best. Think of a rank as your position in the Fibonacci sequence. I think ranks can go to infinity. You want to be as highly ranked as possible. Versus, I guess, you don't want to be number 1. I guess. Is the,
I guess it makes the last number 1 a little more meaningful.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the first on the Fibonacci sequence. You don't want to be there. You want to be further up in the Fibonacci sequence. And there's more than 6, so it's just the first round. If it's my turn, so I gave EOS in a book. I gave the book More Equal Animals, translated to Hebrew, to a friend of mine who's a business owner and doctoral student in economics, and he's really interested. And I gave it to a high school principal, and I gave my only English version of it to an English-speaking person. And that was promoting fractally and the philosophical background. And I also am establishing a company in Israel to work on EOS in a box and EOS as a EOS.io private chains for other companies as a service. And I'm working on SQL to EOS, which is a visual tool to design tables and get out a ready-made smart contract with create, read, update, delete actions based on those tables. And last week I was number 6.
All right. Good job. All right. Val, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're muted. Can't hear you.
Okay. Yes. I'm working for Fractally. I'm an employee. I'm front-end developer. I'm helping. Right now we are working on a wallet for Fractally. If are you looking for some more technical details?
You don't have to provide all the technical stuff.
I'm already compensated for my work at Fractally, so I'm not looking to be ranked at all. But probably besides my work for Fractally, I've created a Russian-speaking group in Telegram. My plan is to form Russian-speaking community and maybe create a sub-fractal for Fractally. We are planning to work on to contribute to the whole Fractally ecosystem this way.
All right.
I
Did
think
you
that's
participate
it.
last week? Participate last
No, it's my first time, so it's very interesting to see how this works, and we need to implement this in software.
Yep. All right. So his rank last time was 0. For a full disclosure, the Fractally team members are on a team, and they're sharing half of whatever they get with the company, and the other half is being kept personally for just participating in the calls and representing the company well. So that's what's going on with Fractally. Mike?
Yeah, so I also work with Fractally. I was not here last week, so I'm also a rank 0. I have shared More Equal Animals and the Fractally website with someone from my Tango community, as well as invited 2 friends of mine One of whom, if I had prepped him a little better, would have been here today, so I expect him next week. The other thing relevant to today, I guess, is that I, along with Brandon Fancher, have done AMAs about Eden for many months now to get the word out about these ideas and answer questions over time, as well as the implementation in our release of the Eden software.
Yep, so Mike's been working with Eden since the very beginning, and Val started just Valentine's Day. How appropriate.
Yeah, and actually, I suppose one other very relevant thing is most recently, I'm working on the data model that will serve the fractally UI. So I put that together in GraphQL this past week.
Yep. So, thank you. And this past week I've been coding. Last week I ranked 6. I've been coding this past week. Been doing a little bit of revising of the fractally member agreement, and of course organizing the stuff for this call. So it's what's been going on there. So, Mark, you had a question?
Yeah, 2 items. One is, I thought you were ranked 1 last week.
I was highest ranked in, so that was a confusion. Yep.
Okay, thank you. And that is defined by a 1, not a 6. True?
So in the order listed this week, the most valuable contributor is first and the least valuable contributor is last. And I posted it in that order last week. Eve was at the end, and because you were on my call last week, right? So you thought I was at the bottom.
1. Eve's 2, Mark's Dare 3, myself 4. And I asked a couple times in the chat, is there any record of that so I could verify it? I didn't get response twice, so I was like, I don't think we're there yet, but.
Okay, so we have evidence of last week. You thought you were agreeing to the inverse order of everyone else?
I can't be sure, but I believe that you were number 1, Eve's was number 2. Originally, we were going to put Eve's number approximately 4, and Mark Stair and I were going to be above Eve's. Then Eve jumped places because we revisited the subject. So you were undisputably 1. Eve's was then at that point promoted to number 2, and then Mark Stair 3, Mark Shear 4, and then there was a 5th.
Eve was second to bottom, I thought, or third from bottom. I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Something for consideration. My opinion. The details aren't important, but the confusion is interesting. So that's good.
Yep, definitely something worthwhile to consider. We'll ask other people if they had any confusion about that.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for Felix, because I hadn't really thought it was a confusing issue until Felix kind of brought it up, and then now here I know it is because of what we just talked about. So, well, yeah, that's good, Dan. Thank you. And I have a second item that is related to Val. Just FYI, yeah, translation. If there's a Russian, an interest in a kind of a grassroots. We have free APIs to offer, and they include Russian translation, and it's a machine learning model, paid, tokenized by people, trainers, big stake in tokenization training of the algorithm. So it's tokenized, and it's going to also like have, it's gonna be 20 times cheaper than like your standard like Google or Microsoft's, and a long tail of languages. So the idea would be, I'm trying to, we have EOS chatbot, we have the app I mentioned earlier with June Dam and Cash Bank, and all these like crawl, walk, run. We're in the crawl phase and all that, but we have free APIs, so if you can plug them in and you can use them, yeah, please feel free. Mark Shear, Earthman, you could give me a nod now, or if I ever heard from you, I'd be glad to set all that up. We have Translate Me on EOS as a group. I could add you to. I just thought I'd make that pitch. So thanks there for letting me shoot that gap real quick, because that was a part of the purpose of these meetings. A little bit of the purpose is to reach out like that.
Yeah, sure. And also I know John Dam very well. I worked with him the chair's time.
Yep.
Great, thank you. So you'll be connecting with him here in about 2 weeks. So that'll come full circle. Thank you.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get the consensus part out of the way, and then if there's any extra time, we can discuss other things that matter. The first step of the consensus is who contributed the most this past week. Does anyone want to make any proposals of who contributed the most?
I think Daniel Larimer.
All right. So,
And what do you think?
all right.
Where's the camera?
A-
Raise your hand if you agree.
Any objections? Any objections? I win.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. I know that it's one of the elements of the randomness is you never know who's going to be grouped with me. And maybe in the future, people will figure I've earned more than my share, and it'll start being a disadvantage for me. But I appreciate the recognition. It actually is meaningful. So thank you.
We need 7,000 people, and then the possibility of landing with you in the same group is going to be lower.
Yes, exactly. So start inviting people.
Right.
The probability of him landing in your group 2 in a row would be even lower.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone want to nominate someone for rank 5, the second biggest contributor?
I'll have to go with Ami for the more equal animals. Mike, I think you were very Eden heavy. I think that's specific to a question of, is that fractally? But I'll go with the assumption that says it's not, and I'll go with Ami on the more equal animals, so at least for a proposed beginning. I can see Mike also being up there with number 2 as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean on you guys for the higher end rankings, just because I think as far as the coding part, especially I think with the fractally team, you guys have more idea of you guys' workload.
Yeah. So since there are 3 fractally team members, which will also be reduced if there are more people on this call, I guess it's they're sharing half of everything they get with fractally. So that fractally can have an income source, be a sustainable, profitable business. Eventually, when hopefully the tokens have value, which is what we're all aiming for. So, I guess you can kind of view the fractally team as a group if you wanted to say what the team ranks. So I've taken one of those slots. I do think that it'd be worthwhile to recognize the non-paid members, because you guys are doing a lot and you're giving your time right now. So, I could easily go with Ami for rank 5, or Mark. So those are the 2 that I'm torn between.
Maybe we need to select randomly between them.
Me and Mark,
Like-
can you reach a consensus between the 2 of you?
I can vote for Mark. He has a good list of achievements this week and prior.
Okay. And I as well. I could vote for Ami, just in his subtle talks on the.
It's not voting. You have to reach consensus.
And I will accept Ami's gesture. Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. So, you're Earthman. What's your account?
Earthman Mark.
Earthman Mark at EOS.
EOS. Yep.
Okay.
It's in the
Yep.
chat now.
Okay. I'm just typing out in a text here to. All right. All right. Since Ami was the tiebreaker, does anyone want him to be next?
Yeah, I can second Ami next.
Thank you. Mark, you can stay unmuted. It's a very small group, so we can all be unmuted.
So, Ami, what's your account? Sorry, I think
Ah.
probably
AMIH, AMIH at Hive.
AMIH at Hive. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Felix, going to let you make the call on whether or not you want any fractally team member to be above you.
Yeah, I'm honestly fine with taking, I guess the last slot at number 1, just because, yeah, it's definitely my contribution's more passive and more just talking about it and sharing it with people in the community, and I'm not doing any actual coding, so I do appreciate you guys' work, so I definitely prefer to be.
I think social promotion is very important at this stage. It's not just coding, and you're competing with Val on spot number 1. So I think Mike Manfredi is our next respect at number 3. Is that it, guys?
All right, so we're working on position number
3.
5. Yes, rank. We did rank 6, 5, 4. Now we're on rank number 3, and so it's, Felix is saying Mike and Val.
I would suggest Felix, because he is kind of independently came to just show up, and I'm pretty sure he did a lot of research, spent his time, and he is being not compensated for doing all this work.
I emphatically add to that, concur, and I thought of the same thing. It takes a lot to do that, work independently. Yeah, totally agree. I don't know if the ranking's perfect, but it takes a lot.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. If you guys are fine with that. But yeah, I mean, my kind of goal is to moving forward is, when I do produce content that's really centered around this, I will definitely push to, for my contributions. But I do like this, though. This is a very open way to discuss and I definitely build with relationships within the community too, so it's not as awkward of I guess we're sharing the allocation in a way of wanting to make everybody happy, which is and feel like they're a part of the community, which is awesome. So I like it.
A good point of this whole process is to make it as fair as possible, recognizing merit and all factors that are associated with it. Obviously, if we go to socialist, then no one's going to do anything because there's no incentive to do anything, so it has to be merit-based. But there is all kinds of things that count as merit, and that is a subjective opinion. So I think what we're seeing here is, because this is so heavily weighted fractally, it is creating a little bit of confusion. So Mike and Val, I'm actually not going to decide between the two of you, because even though I am your boss, I'll let you two the consensus on your relative order. If we're going to say, Felix, what's your account, real quick?
It's felix.gm for the @eos.
Oh, it's on the Zoom
Yep.
box. You can see the name.
Yep. So, Mike and Val, down to you.
I think my contribution deserves to be ranked as 1. I could do a lot more. I'm just getting up to speed. Also, I'm spending a lot of time on helping my friends and relatives to deal with war situation in Russia and Ukraine. So it takes a big toll on me emotionally. So I'm not contributing a lot. And I find this rank 1.
All right.
Hope to have something more to share
You're
by the next meeting.
What's your account?
Sorry, what's the
Me-
username? It's in the chat as well. It's fractallyMike@Hive.
All right, and Val, what's your Hive account?
You probably remember. It's Val.
Okay, good.
Val at Hive. Yeah, I figured a lot of us were Val and I built Hive together. So, all right, so that is the order I just published. You want to copy that, verify that that's the consensus agreement. If there are anyone who objects to that, now is the time to speak, because we're all going to copy and paste that into the main chat when we rejoin.
You can copy it to your clipboard.
Yeah, you might want to copy to your clipboard and save it somewhere just in case you lose your clipboard.
I think it will stay here. It's our chat history.
Yep.
We need to repost it to main chat.
And in the main chat, we posted as room 5: or something like that.
You don't need to mention the room because the group of people uniquely defines the room. You can just sort it. And so we rejoined the main group at 12:15, which means we completed this 15 minutes early. And so I guess now I'd look for any feedback on how we can improve or questions.
I think to maybe help with the confusion, if you're designing a UI, do you want to have a way to order the 6 names, like drag and drop and order them in a column, and have the rank and the respect amount? So at the second round, you can also see the higher respect, the next numbers in the Fibonacci sequence, and you can see if there's a, I don't know, green background around the names, then it matches the others in the group or something.
Yep.
So it's
Well,
easier and there's less confusion.
Yeah, so we'll have a consensometer. And, shows when you're in consensus with the majority.
Mm-hmm.
And would basically update your update the ranking. So basically what would happen is we all agree on first person me, everyone bumps me up to the top, and I probably want to say which people do we agree on as far as ranking, which ones are out of agreement on a per level basis, and then globally when everyone agrees on everything. I hope you're taking notes on that, Mike and Val. You guys are going to be the ones that are responsible for building such a feature.
And I wonder about the questions. There's going to be some really valuable questions that are rank order, targeted at rank order. Like there's questions that are good at that and questions that are good at voting. It might be useful to have a short bullet list of questions that we could ask during formation of consensus to help that process along. Especially this community is very nice, so perhaps questions could clarify how to rank a little more objectively.
Yes, yeah. So what we noticed here today is, even though 3 of the members here were working full time, or approximately full time, on doing nothing but making Fractally a reality, they may have been compensated, but basically Fractally is buying half of their stuff. They were ranked lowest in this particular group. But that was balanced by the fact that I was ranked highest, which means collectively Fractally, if you sum it all up, got about half. I don't know, what's 13 plus 1 plus 2?
16.
So Fractally got 16, and everyone else got 3 plus 5. everyone else got 8. Right, did I leave one out? 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13.
Oh, so 16 out of 32, or
Yeah. So yeah, so basically fractally was allocated half, and everyone else was allocated half. Is what we ended up coming up with. So
and I guess you're probably going to be a team, so you're going to have double respect for that.
yes, we would have double respect by being on a team.
Mm-hmm.
So and I guess you guys aren't on a team yet. I don't know when we're going to reach consensus on when the teams are officially being ranked, but for now we're just recording data, and we'll reach consensus on what the meaning of the data is later.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fascinating experimental part of the process, and I think that those are the things. I think the Fractally team wanted to create incentive to reward the people who are helping make the company and the process more valuable. So I think there's also incentive for us to be biased in favor of community members, just out of early generosity to support long-term success and the ultimate win. But the biggest challenge I think Fractally faces in this process is we are submitting ourselves to public opinion on what our fair share should be based upon how they rank Fractally team members from week to week to week. And Fractally needs to be receiving enough to be a sustainable, ongoing concern to the extent that we're building open source software and providing it to the community and the like. So I'm very curious to see how that goes. What a lot of other companies would probably do is allocate a bunch of tokens to themselves right out the get-go, because they don't want to trust any community to allocate them something fair, because the community's always going to say, 1% ought to be enough for you, we'll take the rest, thank you very much. Or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's the risk, and if we build a good culture here that can actually recognize merit, then I think we'll be very successful. But if we build a culture of socialism, where we're not willing to recognize merit, but we're more afraid of offending people, then the incentives will go the other way, and work won't be contributed. So it's a tension between growing community, growing participation, and rewarding it. That's a tension the community is going to have to resolve.
So do you anticipate, or are there plans on having, I guess, the total amount of respect tokens that each member would have when we're broken up into the groups? I guess that would be a metric that we'd be able to see.
Yeah, so there's going to be a spreadsheet that we're going to be putting together that's going to list everyone and their average rankings and their current respect balance, the sum of their Fibonacci rewards. And then anyone who wants to see their ranking can just check that spreadsheet, and we will have the reports. And obviously, each group can you have 5 other witnesses, 6 witnesses in total to the consensus of each group. So I think with video and transparency and the reputation that everyone's getting, I think it's going to be really solid.
Yeah, I always picture that there are going to be obstacles that the community devalues, and that doesn't really characterize the value of that obstacle as much as a community can possibly interpret its value. I wonder how the obstacles are going to get paid, if they're going to get paid. I just at least wanted to at least have that out there, because it's one of my more interesting points that I've wanted to see for like years now since we've been talking about tokenomics. How are the trolls and the forces of confusion and derailing, kind of networks and all these kind of things that provide for the hardening of the community's visible interests going to get paid. So I want to see how how their accounts are affected. I don't know how to do that, but this is a cool study in that.
Yep. So what happens in Fractally, is everything you earn goes into an escrow account, and then you can only draw that down at 5%, which means on average your escrow account will contain 20 weeks worth of earnings. Is what will be in escrow at any given point in time. So some weeks you'll be above, some weeks you'll be below, but your escrow account will have on average 20 weeks. And then each week, you'll draw down 5% of it and you'll add whatever you get that week. So after about 20 weeks, you'll more or less have a salary determined based on your average performance coming out of the community. Then if anyone's a troll or whatnot, and the council or whatever dispute resolution process gets finalized, that escrow balance can be taken or fined if a higher level consensus is reached that you're a bad actor in the community. And that's the immune system that Hive lacked, and of course its record, hey, this person was fined. In the next meeting, everyone will say, hey, we reached consensus, this person was doing X, Y, and Z, and not get the council to act or someone to act to reprimand. But the purpose of reprimands is accountability and to bring people back, not to punish and push out.
Yes.
And it's a balance. And a lot of people say, "Oh, that's messy. I don't want to do that." But you know what happens if you don't punish your kids? If you don't discipline them, chaos, right? Same thing happens if you don't discipline a community. Chaos ensues, and it's a madhouse. But the problem is, how do you reach consensus that the process for discipline was fair instead of arbitrary? And it's like the Bitcoin talk forums or the subreddits. Someone gets mod powers, and then they just run amok, and there's nothing the community can do about it. That's not going to be the case with Fractally.
That's cool. That's a neat aperture regulator function that you alluded to.
Yep. Because remember, the goal is to identify people that can build a reputation internally and externally that people value. If people value the opinion of this group of people, then the tokens go up in value. If they don't value the opinion of this group of people, then the tokens go down in value. And so the reliability, transparency, and fairness of the process is what will lead people to value it. And if it's arbitrary or unfair or corrupt or incumbents take over, then people won't value it. And that's the challenge we all face. All right, we are now at 4 minutes until the meeting is supposed to leave the breakout rooms. I'm going to send a message to all rooms. 4-minute warning.
Mark, if I understood your question right, I'd also add things that are by default, or at least first past, undervalued by the community, I think will lead to those who are educated, right, who are rationally educated on a particular topic. They'll start educating because they know, and they're going to be in groups week after week, so that'll start to bring money over time as education grows. I also think you have the opportunity for someone who is making money, who sees, look, this is a critical upgrade that no one seems to understand. I'm representing that person this week. Half of my earnings will go to them. Right? There's a lot of different ways to move around the incentives.
I would actually say never promise your earnings this week to go to someone. Say, last week I gave my earnings to this person. If you think that was a good idea, reimburse me. Because you never want to rely on promises of future action when you're allocating tokens in the current week. Just that's one of those things that we need to look out for, because promises are cheap, actions matter.
Both points. Thank you. Good. Mike.
Right. Yeah, and that's like extra work that has to go in to have to go and verify that they go and they fill like, or that they follow up or following up that they go through with what they initially promised.
Which is why when we record the meetings, when we have the automated software, if someone is found to have lied, you say, hey, I paid someone and they didn't, right? And there's like evidence that it didn't happen. That is intent to defraud the community. And that intent to defraud is what we have to root out. So we're going to try to encourage people to say, be as honest as possible. Like if you paid someone, say, all right, you know, come to the meeting prepared with the transaction ID and everything else, and then everyone who wants to check can verify it. It'll be in the transaction text log, and if there is a dispute over it, then the jury or counsel that is reviewing it will be able to objectively review the evidence and make a decision and do what is fair. Which means in that case, payment might come out of their escrow account and pay the person because they said they would, and then some kind of fine. And if it's a repeat offense, then maybe they get booted from the community because we can't trust them to be honest, which is the single biggest thing, the most valuable thing, is that people are honest. Because without honesty, everything falls apart.
Cool.
All right, I'm going to close all rooms and rejoin the group. Make sure you've copied the stuff.
Thank you, guys. Good meeting.
Yeah, thanks.
It was nice
Sorry.
seeing
Sorry.
everyone. I think Val was the
Thanks.
first time, but I've been in rooms with every one of you guys. It's nice seeing you again.
All right,
Likewise.
thank you. See
Yeah.
you.
Recording in progress.